Hey guys, tonight we're hauling a truckload of potatoes through the misty backroads of upstate New York, where the air smells like wet earth and diesel, and the stars barely peek through the fog. You're behind the wheel of a creaky old rig, the kind that groans like it's got arthritis, heading toward the Canadian border with a load so heavy it makes your tires hum. The road stretches out, lonely and quiet, with nothing but potato fields on either side, their leaves whispering in the chilly breeze. You're probably not gonna survive this without dozing off at least once. Those spuds aren't exactly thrilling cargo. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're drifting off tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're rolling out of a small farm town called Malone, where the potatoes you're hauling were yanked from the ground just hours ago. Your rig's loaded with burlap sacks, each one stuffed with knobby, dirt-dusted spuds, the kind that'll end up as fries or mashed comfort food across the border. The fields around you are a patchwork of green and brown, stretching flat under a sky that's more gray than blue. It's early evening, and the mist is settling in, curling around the fence posts like it's got a mind of its own. You flick on the headlights, and they cut through the haze, catching the glint of a rusty tractor parked by a sagging barn. This is potato country, where the soil's been churned for generations, and every farmer's got a story about the land. Back in the 19th century, upstate New York became a potato powerhouse, especially in Franklin County, where Malone sits. The region's cool climate and rich soil made it perfect for growing spuds, and by the 1850s, farmers were shipping them by the ton to cities like New York and Boston. The Erie Canal, that old watery highway, was a game changer, letting farmers move their crops faster than any horse cart could. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some farmers swore by planting potatoes under a full moon, claiming it made the tubers grow bigger. No science to back it up. Just old-school superstition passed down like a family recipe. Historians still argue whether this lunar planting boosted yields or just gave farmers an excuse to stay up late. You're not thinking about yields right now, though. Your rig's engine is humming a low, steady tune, and the road state Route 11 feels like it's leading you into a dream. The CB radio crackles, but it's mostly static, like the air itself is too sleepy to carry a signal. You pass a faded billboard for a long-gone diner, its letters peeling like old skin. It's the kind of place where truckers like you swap stories over coffee that tastes like it was brewed last week. You chuckle to yourself, imagining the waitress calling you hun while serving a plate of fries made from the very spuds in your trailer. That's the circle of life out here. Grow, haul, eat, repeat. The mist thickens as you drive, and the fields start to blur into a soft, green haze. You spot a lone crow perched on a fence post, staring at you like it knows something you don't. It's creepy, sure, but you're used to weird roadside vibes. Maybe it's just the fog playing tricks. Or maybe that crow's been watching truckers since the days when this route was a dirt track for horse-drawn wagons. You shake your head, laughing softly at the thought. Out here, your imagination runs wild, especially when the world's this quiet. The dashboard clock ticks past 7 p.m., and you know the border's still a couple hours away. Time to settle in. Let the road's rhythm lull you into that sweet spot where the world feels far away. You're rolling deeper into the night now, the potato sacks in your trailer shifting slightly as you take a gentle curve on Route 11. The mist clings to the road like a shy ghost, and your headlights carve out a tunnel of light through the haze. The Canadian border's getting closer, maybe an hour away, but out here, time feels like it's stretching, like the fog's slowing down the clock. The CB radio's still spitting static, but every now and then, you catch a faint voice gobbled, like someone's whispering from the other side of the world. It's not enough to make out words, just enough to make you wonder who's out there, sharing this lonely stretch of asphalt. Up here, near the border, truckers have been swapping eerie tales for decades. They talk about strange voices on the CB, ones that don't belong to any driver on the road. Back in the 1970s, when CB radios were the lifeline of the highway, drivers on this route claimed they'd hear phantom chatter voices calling out names or giving directions to places that didn't exist. One story, passed around like a bad cold, was about a trucker who heard a woman's voice begging him to stop at a rest area that wasn't on any map. He ignored it, kept driving, and later found out the nearest rest stop had burned down in the 50s. Quirky tidbit. Some old-timers swear the static itself carries messages, like the air's trying to talk if you listen close enough. Historians still argue whether these tales were born from sleep deprivation or something weirder, like electromagnetic quirks near the border messing with radios. You're not sure you buy the ghost stuff, but the static's got you on edge. You turn the CB dial, hoping to catch a clear signal, but it's just more crackling, like the night's laughing at you. You smirk to yourself, great, now you're spooked by your own radio. The road ahead dips into a shallow valley, and you spot a sign for the border crossing, its letters half faded in the fog. This part of upstate New York, where Franklin County brushes against Canada, has always been a liminal place. In the early 1800s, it was a hotbed for smugglers, dodging taxes on goods like whiskey and tobacco. The border was more suggestion than line back then, and folks slipped across it like kids sneaking cookies. That history lingers in the air, heavy as the mist, making you feel like you're driving through a story someone forgot to finish. The road's quiet, save for the hum of your engine and the occasional thump of a potato sack settling in the back. You pass a cluster of pine trees, their needles glistening with dew, and for a second, you swear you see a shadow move between them. Probably just a deer, you tell yourself, chuckling at how jumpy you're getting. Out here, the night plays tricks, turning every rustle into a mystery. You remember that crow from earlier, staring like it was sizing you up. Maybe it's following you, or maybe you're just tired. Either way, you crank the window down a crack, letting the cool, damp air slip in. It smells like earth and pine, grounding you, pulling you back from the edge of those spooky CB tales. Your rig rumbles past a mile marker, and you notice the fog's starting to lift. Just enough to reveal the faint outline of a customs booth in the distance. It's still too far to make out details, but it's a reminder that the border's real, not just a line on a map. You wonder what it was like for drivers a century ago, hauling goods across with nothing but a handshake and a prayer. No CB, no GPS, just a map and a gut feeling. You laugh softly, imagining yourself trying to navigate by starlight. Good luck with that, you'd think, as the radio crackles again, teasing you with another half-heard whisper. The fog's thinning now, and your rig's headlights catch the outline of an old stone building off Route 11, half swallowed by vines and thyme. It's a forgotten customs house, crumbling like it's embarrassed to still be standing. You slow down, just enough to take in its sagging roof and boarded windows. The kind of place that looks like it's holding secrets tighter than a rusted lock. The Canadian border's close, and this relic marks where goods like your potatoes once passed under the watchful eyes of 19th century officials. You can almost hear the clop of horse hooves, the creak of wooden carts, and the low murmur of men haggling over tariffs. It's quiet now though, except for your engine's steady drone, and the faint hum of crickets in the damp grass. Back in the 1820s, customs houses like this one dotted the New York-Canada border, built to regulate trade after the War of 1812 tightened tensions. They were the first line of defense against smugglers slipping across with barrels of rum or sacks of grain. This particular post, near Chateauguay, was notorious for its overzealous inspectors, who'd weigh every cart like they were hunting for gold. Here's a quirky tidbit. Locals used to bribe officials with homemade maple syrup, a sweet deal that sometimes let a few extra sacks slip through uncounted. Historians still argue whether these bribes kept the border economy humming, or just padded a few pockets. But either way, the old customs house feels like a ghost of those days, watching you roll by. You pull your rig to the shoulder for a moment, letting the engine idle as you squint at the building. The stone walls are mossy, and a cracked chimney leans like it's had one too many winters. You imagine some gruff official in a wool coat, scribbling in a ledger by candlelight, probably grumbling about the cold. It's funny you're hauling potatoes, same as folks did back then. But now it's all paperwork and scanners, not candle wax and bribes. You chuckle softly, thinking how that old inspector would lose his mind over your GPS. What's this sorcery? He'd probably mutter, right before demanding a syrup payoff. The night air seeps through your cracked window, carrying the scent of wet stone and pine. You glance at the customs house again, and for a split second, you swear you see a flicker of light in one of the boarded windows. Just a trick of the headlights, you tell yourself, shaking your head. Still, it's enough to make your skin prickle, like the building's daring you to come closer. You're not that curious, though not tonight. You ease the rig back onto the road, the tires crunching gravel as you leave the customs house behind. The CB radio's quiet now, no more ghostly whispers, but you can't shake the feeling that something's watching from the shadows. Ahead, the road stretches toward the border, and you spot a sign for a truck stop a few miles out. Your stomach rumbles, reminding you it's been hours since you ate. Maybe you'll grab a coffee, something to keep you sharp for the crossing. You think back to that crow from earlier, perched like it owned the highway, and wonder if it's still out there, keeping tabs. You laugh under your breath. Great, now you're inventing bird conspiracies. The customs house fades in your rear view, but its weight lingers, like a story you're not sure you want to finish. For now, you focus on the road, the hum of the engine pulling you forward through the misty night. You're cruising along Route 11, the potato sacks in your trailer thumping softly as the road dips and curves through the foggy upstate New York night. The border's closer now, maybe 20 minutes away, but the mist is back, thicker than before, wrapping your rig in a cocoon of gray. The CB radio, which you'd almost forgotten about, crackles to life, spitting out a burst of static that makes you flinch. Then, a voice low, gravelly, and half-lost in the noises, something about millimarker 42 glance at the dash. You're passing mile marker 41. Weird coincidence, you think, but your fingers tighten on the wheel. The voice fades, replaced by a hum that sounds like wind over an open plain, though there's no breeze tonight. Truckers on this route have long swapped stories about CB radios picking up signals that guarantee make sense. Back in the 1980s, when CB was king, drivers reported hearing voices giving directions to nowhere roads that vanished when they checked their maps. One tale, whispered at truck stops, was about a driver who followed a CB voice to a supposed shortcut, only to find himself circling the same stretch of road for hours. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some truckers used to tape aluminum foil to their antennas, swearing it blocked ghost signals from crossing the border. Historians still argue whether these odd transmissions came from atmospheric quirks, or just tired drivers' imaginations. But out here, with the fog pressing in, it's easy to lean toward the spooky side. You turn the CB dial, trying to clear the static, but it's like the radio's got a mind of its own. Another voice cuts through, faint and warbly, saying, "Keep left at the fork." There's no fork ahead, just a straight shot of asphalt flanked by dark fields. You laugh nervously, muttering to yourself, "Nice try, ghost radio, but I'm not falling for it." The fog's so thick now you can barely see 10 feet past your hood, and the headlights feel like they're fighting a losing battle. You think back to that old customs house, its flickering window light, and wonder if it's connected to this. Probably not, but the night's got you second-guessing. The road hums under your tires, and you spot a faded sign for the border crossing, its letters glowing faintly in the mist. You're tempted to call out on the CB, see if anyone's awake out there, but something stops you. What if that voice answers back? Instead, you focus on the rhythm of the drive, the soft thud of the sacks, the engine's low growl, the occasional chirp of a cricket outside. It's soothing, in a weird way, like the roads singing you a lullaby. You chuckle, imagining telling this story at a truck stop. "Yeah, my radio tried to haunt me, but I just turned up the heat and kept driving." A shadow darts across the road of Fox, maybe, its eyes glinting in your lights before it vanishes into the fog. You shake your head, grinning at how jumpy you're getting. That crow from earlier pops into your mind, probably laughing at you from some tree branch. The CB crackles again, but this time it's just static. No voices, no cryptic directions. You're almost at the border now, and the fog's starting to lift, revealing the faint glow of the customs booth ahead. You take a deep breath, the air smelling of damp earth and diesel, and let the road pull you forward, 1 mile marker at a time. You're rolling closer to the Canadian border, the fog now a thin veil that scatters your headlights into a soft glow. The potato sacks in your trailer shift with a muffled thud as you ease over a gentle rise on Route 11. The fields around you stretch wide, their dark soil churned for centuries to grow the spuds you're hauling. The air smells faintly of turned earth, like the ground itself is breathing, and your rig's engine hums a steady tune, lulling you into that half-dreamy state where the road feels like home. The CB's gone quiet, no more ghostly whispers, but the memory of that strange voice at mile marker 42 lingers, tickling the back of your mind. Upstate New York's potato industry goes back to the early 1800s, when settlers realized the region's cool, Loamy soil was perfect for tubers. By the 1840s, Franklin County was churning out potatoes by the millions, feeding growing cities and even supplying Union troops during the Civil War. Farmers here didn't just grow spuds, they built a whole culture around them, with harvest festivals and potato sack races that still pop up in small towns today. Here, as a quirky tidbit, some old farmers used to bury a single potato under their doorstep for good luck, believing it kept blight away. Historians still argue whether this superstition actually saved crops or just gave folks something to do during long winters. But it's the kind of odd tradition that makes you smile as you drive. You glance out the window at the fields, imagining those farmers toiling under the same stars you see now, their hands caked with dirt. It's humbling, in a way your rig's carrying the same kind of cargo they did, just with better shocks and a GPS. You chuckle softly, thinking how they'd probably trade their best plow for your heated seat. The road curves slightly, and you spot a weathered barn in the distance, its silhouette barely visible through the thinning fog. It's the kind of place where you can picture a farmer stashing that lucky potato, whispering a prayer for a good harvest. The image sticks with you, grounding you as the border lights grow brighter ahead. But then, something catches your eye. Small, hand-painted sign by the road that reads Potato Fest, 10 miles back. You're pretty sure you didn't pass any festival, and it's way too late for one anyway. You shake your head, laughing at yourself for noticing it. Great, now I'm seeing potato ghosts, you mutter, your voice swallowed by the cab's quiet hum. It's probably just a leftover sign from some autumn fair. But out here, with the night so still, it feels like a little wink from the past. You think back to that old customs house, its mossy stones and flickering window, and wonder if this whole route is sprinkled with relics, trying to tell you something. The road straightens, and you see the border crossings glow more clearly now. A faint promise of paperwork, and maybe a coffee if the booth has a machine. Your stomach rumbles, reminding you of that truck stop you're hoping to hit soon. For now, though, it's just you, the potatoes, and the endless fields. The air coming through your cracked window carries a chill, mixed with the scent of soil and pine, and you let it wash over you. That crow from earlier crosses your mind again, probably perched somewhere, judging your driving skills. You grin, picturing it with a tiny CB radio, squawking bad directions just to mess with you. The thought keeps you awake as the border draws near, the road humming beneath your tires like a lullaby. You're not quite ready to sleep, too. You re-easing your rig toward a blinking neon sign that cuts through the last wisps of fog, announcing diner, open 24/7 in flickering red letters. The truck stop, just off Route 11, is a low-slung building with peeling paint and a gravel lot where a few other rigs are parked, their cabs dark. You pull in, the tires crunching like they're chewing the ground, and cut the engine. The sudden quiet is almost loud, broken only by the faint hum of a generator and the distant croak of a frog. Your trailer's potato sacks are still, but you swear you can smell their earthy temps through the cab. It's past midnight, and your stomach's nagging for something hot. Maybe a burger, or just coffee that doesn't taste like regret. Truck stops like this one have been the heartbeat of upstate New York's highways since the 1930s, when Route 11 became a main artery for truckers hauling goods to Canada. These diners weren't just for food, they were social hubs where drivers swapped gossip, weather tips, and the occasional tall tale. This particular spot, near Churubusco, has a reputation for serving pancakes so big they hang off the plate. Here's a quirky tidbit. The diner's old jukebox, still in the corner, only plays songs from the 1970s, and truckers claim it picks tunes based on your mood. Historians still argue whether these roadside joints shaped trucking culture or just reflected it, but either way, they're like time capsules, preserving the road's soul. You step out, boots crunching on gravel, and push through the diner's glass door, the bell jingling like it's surprised to see you. Inside, the air smells of fried onions and burnt coffee, and a waitress with a name tag reading Doris gives you a nod. "Seat yourself, hun," she says, her voice as warm as the fluorescent lights are cold. You slide into a vinyl booth, the table sticky with years of spilled syrup. The menu's laminated, edges curling, offering classics like meatloaf and, naturally, potato soup. You chuckle, thinking of your cargo bet. Those spuds didn't dream of ending up in a bowl here. Doris ambles over, pouring coffee that looks like motor oil. "Long haul?" she asks, and you nod, too tired to explain. She leans in, lowering her voice. Heard anything weird on the CB tonight? You think of that ghostly voice at mile marker 42, but just shrugged, playing it cool. Doris smirks, like she knows something, and says, "This place hears things. Stick around, you'll see." You laugh softly, wondering if she's pulling your leg, or if the diner's got its own secrets. Like that old customs house with its flickering light, the jukebox kicks on, playing a slow Johnny Cash tune. And you swear it's reading your mind, road weary and a little spooked. You sip the coffee, grimacing at its bitterness, but it's warm, and that's enough for now. Outside, the fog's nearly gone, and you can see the faint glow of the border crossing a few miles off. You think about the farmers who grew your potatoes, maybe saying a prayer under a full moon, like that old superstition you heard about. It's funny, here you are, hauling their harvest, sitting in a diner that's probably older than your rig. You glance at Doris, who's wiping down the counter, humming along to Johnny Cash. Maybe she's heard that crow from earlier, cawing its nonsense into the night. You smile to yourself, picturing it perched on the diner's roof, plotting its next prank. The road's waiting, but for now, you let the diner's warmth hold you, one sip at a time. You're back on Route 11, the diner's greasy warmth fading in your rear view as the cool night air slips through your cracked window. The potato sacks in your trailer settle with a soft thud, and the road stretches dark and quiet. The borders glow, just a faint promise on the horizon. The fog's mostly gone now, leaving the asphalt slick and reflective, like it's holding on to the starlight. Your headlights catch a faded mile marker, and you realize you're near a stretched trucker's call, the Smuggler's Trail. A lonely patch of Route 11 with a reputation for strange vibes. The CB's silent, but you can't shake the memory of that eerie voice from earlier, whispering about mile marker 42, like it was trying to lead you somewhere. This part of upstate New York has a smuggling history that goes back to the early 1800s, when the border was more a suggestion than a hard line. During Prohibition in the 1920s, bootleggers used these backroads to sneak Canadian whiskey into the US, dodging customs agents who were often outwitted or outbribed. Locals still tell stories of a smuggler named Ezra, who supposedly vanished with a wagon of liquor one foggy night, never to be seen again. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some truckers claim Ezra's ghost still wanders Route 11, leaving empty whiskey bottles by the roadside as a calling card. Historians still argue whether Ezra was a real person, or just a legend born from too many late-night runs. But out here, with the road so quiet, you're half convinced he's watching. You pass a gnarled oak tree, its branches twisting like fingers reaching for the sky, and for a moment, you swear you see something glint in the grass, an old bottle, maybe catching your headlights. You chuckle, muttering, "Nice try, Ezra, but I'm not stopping." The idea of a ghost smuggler's cute, but you're more worried about staying awake than chasing spooks. Still, the story sticks, and you imagine Ezra slipping through these woods, his wagon creaking under the weight of illicit barrels. It's the kind of tale Doris at the diner would love, probably adding her own spin about seeing Ezra's lantern in the fog. The road dips into a shallow valley, and you feel a chill, like the air's carrying a memory of those old smuggling days. You think back to that customs house, its mossy stones holding secrets, and wonder if Ezra ever slipped past its inspectors with a sly grin. It's funny, you're hauling potatoes, about as innocent as cargo gets, but you're driving the same paths where outlaws once played cat and mouse. You laugh softly, picturing yourself as a smuggler, sneaking spuds across the border like they're contraband. "Potato bandit," you say aloud, grinning at your own dumb joke. The engine's hum answers, steady and soothing, pulling you deeper into the night. A deer darts across the road, its eyes glowing like tiny moons before it vanishes into the brush. You ease off the gas, heart thumping, then shake your head. "Gotta stop spooking myself," you mutter, thinking of that crow from earlier, probably cackling at your jumpiness. The border's closer now, maybe 10 miles, and you can almost taste the paperwork waiting for you. For now though, it's just you and the Smuggler's Trail, the road whispering stories of Ezra and his whiskey, the night wrapping you in its quiet embrace. You crank the heat up a notch, the cab filling with warmth, and let the rhythm of the drive carry you forward, one shadowy mile at a time. You're idling at the border crossing now, your rig's engine grumbling softly as you wait in a short line of trucks under the harsh glow of sodium lights. The Canadian border looms ahead, marked by a low building with a red maple leaf flag flapping lazily in the night breeze. Your trailer's potato sacks are silent, their earthy weight a quiet reminder of the long haul behind you. The air smells of diesel and damp pavement, and you tap your fingers on the wheel, eyeing the customs booth, where a bored officer flips through paperwork. It's just past 1 a.m., and the world feels like it's holding its breath. Caught between New York's misty fields and Canada's open plains, border crossings like this one, near Chateauguay, have been a fixture since the 1800s, when the US and Canada formalized trade after years of squabbles over territory. By the 1850s, these posts were bustling with carts, hauling goods like timber, furs, and yes, potatoes, as farmers tapped into markets across the line. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some truckers swear the border guards have a sixth sense for spotting nervous drivers, claiming they'll ask random questions like what's your favorite vegetable, just to throw you off. Historians still argue whether these early crossings fostered cooperation or just fueled smuggling schemes like Ezra's whiskey runs. But either way, the border's a place where time slows, and every driver's got a story about waiting. You glance at your paperwork, neatly clipped to the dash, listing your potato load in boring detail: weight, origin, destination. It's all routine, but the wait gives your mind room to wander. You think back to Doris at the diner, her cryptic comment about the place hearing things. Maybe she meant the border, too, with its own whispers of history. You chuckle, imagining the officer asking about your spuds like they're contraband. These potatoes look suspicious, you mutter to yourself, grinning at the absurdity. The truck ahead moves forward, and you ease your rig up, the tires rolling slow like they're as tired as you are. A faint tap on your window startles you, an officer, flashlight in hand, motioning for your papers. You hand them over, and he scans them with a squint, his badge glinting in the light. "Potatoes, huh?" he says, like he's sizing up your soul. You nod, keeping it cool, but you can't help wondering if he's one of those quirky question askers. He doesn't ask about vegetables. Those just hands back the papers and waves you through. You laugh under your breath, relieved, thinking how that crow from earlier would have loved to see you sweat. The border gate lifts, and you roll forward, the road opening into Canada's dark expanse. The wait's over, but the quiet lingers, and you feel the weight of the crossing, like you've stepped through a doorway in time. You think of that old customs house, its mossy stones and flickering light, and wonder if it saw the same kind of night drivers waiting, borders blurring. The road ahead is smoother now, the fog gone, but the stars are still shy, hiding behind thin clouds. Your CB is silent, no ghostly voices, just the hum of your engine and the faint scent of earth from your cargo. You're in Canada now, but the border's stories cling to you, like dust on your boots, as you drive deeper into the night. You're rolling into Canada now, the border crossing fading in your rear view as Route 11 gives way to a quieter, narrower road, flanked by dark pines and open fields. The potato sacks in your trailer thump softly, a steady rhythm matching the hum of your rig's engine. The air through your cracked window carries a crisp bite, smelling of wet grass and distant wood smoke, and the stars are finally peeking through, faint but stubborn. You're on what locals call the Iroquois Trail, a stretch that feels older than the asphalt under your tires. Like the land itself remembers the feet that walked it long before trucks came along. This region, where New York brushes Quebec, was once home to the Iroquois Confederacy, a powerful alliance of native nations that shaped trade and travel here for centuries. By the 1700s, their trails were the highways of their day, used to carry furs, corn, and news between villages. The Iroquois were master navigators, mapping routes by rivers and stars, and some of those paths, like this one, became the blueprint for modern roads. Here's a quirky tidbit. Iroquois travelers would sometimes leave small stone piles at trail crossings, a sort of ancient GPS to mark safe routes. Historians still argue whether these markers were purely practical or held spiritual meaning. But as you drive, you feel the weight of those old paths under your wheels. You spot a low mound by the roadside, maybe just dirt, but your mind wanders. Could it be one of those ancient markers? You chuckle, picturing an Iroquois guide squinting at your rig, wondering what kind of beast replaced their canoes. "Nice horse, buddy," you mutter, grinning at your own joke. The road curves gently, and you see the St. Lawrence River glinting in the distance, its water black and calm under the night sky. It's the same river the Iroquois paddled, trading goods as far as the Great Lakes. You're hauling potatoes, not furs. But there's something timeless about moving cargo through this land, like you're part of a story that started long before you. The quiet's deep now, broken only by the engine's drone and the occasional rustle of leaves. You think back to that smuggler, Ezra's ghost, maybe slipping along these same trails, dodging Iroquois scouts instead of customs agents. It's a funny thought, Ezra probably would have traded whiskey for a map from them. The CB's still silent, no more creepy voices, but the land feels alive, whispering its own tales through the pines. You pass a faded sign for a reservation. Its letters, weathered but proud, and you wonder about the people who still walk these paths, keeping the old ways alive. A fox darts across the road, its tail a flash of red in your headlights, and you ease off the gas, heart ticking up for a second. "Not tonight, buddy," you say, laughing softly at how this stretch keeps you on edge. That crow from earlier pops into your mind, probably perched somewhere, plotting its next cameo. The river's closer now, its presence heavy, like it's watching you as much as you're watching it. You're deep in Iroquois country, and the road feels like it's carrying you through time. Your potato is just a small piece of a much older journey. The night's calm, but it's got a pulse, and you let it guide you forward, 1 mile at a time. You're gliding along the Iroquois Trail. The St. Lawrence River, a dark ribbon to your left, reflecting the faint starlight as your rig hums through the Canadian night. The potato sacks in your trailer shift with a soft rustle, their earthy scent mingling with the piney air slipping through your window. The road's smooth now, almost too quiet, like it's daring you to notice something out of place. You're still thinking about those ancient Iroquois paths, their stone markers guiding travelers long before your GPS started barking directions. But as you adjust your seat, something odd catches your eye. Small, folded piece of paper wedged between 2 potato sacks in the back, visible through the cab's rear window. It wasn't there when you loaded up in Malone, or at least, you don't think it was. In the 19th century, truckers' predecessors, cart drivers hauling goods across the border, often found surprises in their cargo. Smugglers would hide notes, money, or even coded messages in sacks to slip past customs, especially during Prohibition when this route was a whiskey pipeline. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some farmers used to tuck handwritten prayers into potato sacks, believing they'd protect the harvest from rot or thieves. Historians still argue whether these notes were just superstition or a sly way to pass messages under inspectors' noses. But either way, that paper in your trailer feels like a little mystery, winking at you from the shadows. You pull over to a gravel shoulder, the tires crunching as you cut the engine. The quiet hits hard, just the river's faint murmur and a distant owl hooting. You climb into the trailer, flashlight in hand, and fish out the paper. It's yellowed, creased, with smudged ink that reads, "Keep north, find the old dock." No name, no date, just that cryptic line. You laugh softly, muttering, "What is this? A pirate map for spuds?" It's probably just trash, maybe a farmer's old note. But out here, with the night so still, it feels like it's meant for you. You think of Doris's diner stories, that flickering customs house light, and wonder if this is part of the road's strange magic. Tucking the note in your pocket, you climb back into the cab, the seat creaking like it's annoyed you left. You're not sure what old dock means, maybe something by the St. Lawrence, but you're too tired to play detective. Still, the note's got you curious, like it's a thread connecting you to those smugglers' trails, or even Ezra's ghostly whiskey runs. You chuckle, imagining that crow from earlier dropping the note just to mess with you. "Nice one, bird," you say, shaking your head as you start the engine. The road stretches ahead, and the river's glint feels like it's watching, waiting to see if you'll chase this mystery or just keep driving. The CB's still silent, no ghostly voices to egg you on, but the note's weight in your pocket feels like a challenge. You glance at the GPS, which says your drop-off's a few hours away, but the words "old dock" linger, teasing you. The night's calm, the air cool with a hint of river mist, and you let the engine's hum pull you back into the rhythm of the haul. For now, you're just a trucker with a load of potatoes. But the road's got its hooks in you, whispering secrets you might not be ready to hear. The first light of dawn is creeping over the horizon, painting the Canadian sky a soft grey as you guide your rig along the quiet road. The St. Lawrence River still glinting to your left. The potato sacks in your trailer are silent now, settled after hours of rolling. But the mysterious note in your pocket, "Keep north, Find the old dock. Keeps nagging at you like a half-remembered dream. The air through your cracked window is sharp with frost, carrying the scent of pine and wet earth. And your windshield is starting to fog at the edges, kissed by the early morning chill. You're deep in Quebec now, the border a memory, and the road feels like it's guiding you through a world just waking up. In the early 1900s, this stretch of the St. Lawrence Valley was a lifeline for farmers, moving crops like your potatoes to markets in Montreal and beyond. The river's banks were dotted with small docks where barges loaded goods, connecting rural farms to the wider world before trucks took over. Here is a quirky tidbit. Some old-timers swore by a trick to keep cargo safe on icy roads. They de-rubbed potato slices on their cartwheels, believing the starch gave extra grip. Historians still argue whether this was clever or just desperate, but out here, with frost sparkling on the asphalt, you're tempted to believe it worked. You smile, thinking of those farmers, their hands gritty with soil, trusting a spud to save their haul. You spot a thin layer of frost on the road ahead, glinting like spilled sugar in your headlights. An old farmer's voice echoes in your mind, one you heard back in Malone. Ease the wheel, let the ice guide you. You follow the advice, loosening your grip, letting the rig glide over the slick patches. It's working, and you chuckle, muttering, "Thanks, old man, but I'm still not rubbing potatoes on my tires." The river's closed now, its calm water reflecting the dawn's first pinks. And you wonder about that old dock from the note. Could it be one of those forgotten barge landings, hidden in the reeds? The idea feels like a puzzle piece from Ezra's smuggling days, or maybe even those Iroquois trails, all converging under your wheels. A sign for a rest area flashes by, but you keep going, the note's words tugging at you. The road's quiet, save for the hum of your engine and the occasional rustle of leaves skittering across the pavement. You think back to that diner, Doris's knowing smirk, and wonder if she'd heard of secret docks or cryptic notes in potato sacks. It's funny you're just hauling spuds, but the night's turned you into a detective. You laugh softly, picturing that crow from earlier, probably perched on a pine, cawing like it's in on the joke. "Keep north, bird, I'm trying," you say, your voice swallowed by the cab's warmth. The frost sparkles brighter now, and you ease off the gas, feeling the road's subtle pull. The river's presence is heavy, like it's watching you puzzle over the note. You're not sure if you'll find this dock, or if it's just a ghost of a story. But the dawn's light feels like a promise, urging you to keep driving. The engine's hum is steady, the air crisp, and you let the road carry you forward, one frosty mile at a time. The mystery of the note, tucked close like a secret you're not ready to share. The dawn's light is softening now, spreading a pale gold glow over the St. Lawrence River as you steer your rig along the quiet Quebec road. The potato sacks in your trailer are still, their earthy weight a steady companion. But that cryptic note, "Keep north, find the old dock," sits heavy in your pocket, like a pebble you can't stop turning over. The frost on the road has melted under the rising sun, leaving the asphalt slick and dark, and the air through your window carries the clean scent of river water and dew-soaked grass. You're deep in the St. Lawrence Valley, and the road feels like it's leading you towards something. Maybe that dock, maybe just another mile of nothing. In the 1800s, the St. Lawrence was more than a river, it was a highway for trade, with small ferries crisscrossing its waters to move goods like potatoes before bridges and trucks took over. One such ferry, near a village called Dundee, was famous for its rickety dock, where farmers and traders swapped stories of river spirits while waiting for passage. Here is a quirky tidbit. Some ferrymen claim they'd see lights dancing on the water at dawn, swearing they were signals from lost boats. Historians still argue whether these were just reflections or something the Iroquois might via called a river spirit-esque greeting. But as you drive, the water's golden shimmer makes you wonder. You spot a faded sign pointing to Dundee Landing, half hidden by reeds, and your heart skips. Could this be the old dock from the note? You slow the rig, peering at the riverbank, where a crumbling wooden structure juts into the water, overgrown with moss and thyme. It's barely a dock anymore, more a skeleton of planks, but it feels like it's waiting for you. You chuckle, muttering, "All right, note, you win, I found your dock." It's probably nothing, just an old ferry landing, but the coincidence prickles your skin, like you've stumbled into Ezra's smuggling trail, or those Iroquois stone markers. You pull over, the tires crunching on gravel, and step out to stretch, the river's cool breath brushing your face. The dock's a ruin, its boards warped and splintered, but you can imagine it bustling, a century of go-karts creaking, ferrymen shouting, potatoes piled high. You think of Doris's diner tales, that flickering customs house light, and wonder if this dock's got its own story, maybe tied to those dancing river lights. You laugh softly, picturing that crow from earlier perched on a plank, cawing like it's the dock's official greetup. What's next? Bird. A treasure map, you say, your voice swallowed by the morning quiet. The river laps gently at the dock's edge, and you feel a strange calm, like the waters sharing a secret without words. Your rig's waiting, the drop-off still hours away, but for now, you linger, letting the dawn's glow and the river's rhythm sink in. The note's still in your pocket, its mystery solved, or maybe not. You're just a trucker hauling spuds, but this road, this river, this dock there, weaving you into their story, one quiet mile at a time. You're back in the cab, the old dock fading in your rear view as you ease your rig onto the Quebec road. The St. Lawrence River still shimmering under the early morning sun. The potato sacks in your trailer thump softly, a familiar rhythm, and the note in your pocket, keep north. Find the old dock, feels less like a mystery now, though its cryptic vibe lingers. The air through your window is crisp, carrying the scent of river mud and pine, and the road stretches quiet, flanked by fields waking up to the dawn. Your CB radio crackles, breaking the silence, and a gravelly voice cuts through, saying, "Breaker, breaker, you got your ears on." It's not a ghost this time, just a fellow trucker, sounding like he's been on the road since the dinosaurs roamed. CB radio culture exploded in the 1970s, turning truckers into a tight-knit community with their own language, especially along border routes like this one. Drivers shared everything from road conditions to diner tips, using slang that's half poetry, half code terms like bear in the air for police helicopters or alligator for a blown tire. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some truckers invented their own CB handles based on their cargoes, so potato haulers might call themselves Spud King or Tater Tot. Historians still argue whether CB slang unified drivers or just confused newcomers, but out here it's like learning a secret handshake that makes the road feel less lonely. The voice on the CB introduces himself as Grey Wolf, a veteran hauler with a drawl that could soothe a rattlesnake. "You hauling them taters north, friend?" he asks, and you nod, forgetting he can't see you. You grab the mic, replying, "Yeah, spuds to Montreal. You got any tips?" Grey Wolf chuckles, then launches into a lesson on local CB slang. "Call a slow rig a granny gear," he says, "and if you see a fancy chrome job, that's a jewelry box." You laugh, picturing your plain rig as a jewelry box. "Yeah, right, more like a muddy potato crate." His voice is warm, like the diner coffee you're still regretting, and it pulls you into the moment. He shares a gem. Up here, if someone says river runner, they mean a trucker who sticks to St. Lawrence roots, like you. You grin, liking the sound of that, and file it away with the old dock's memory. You think of Doris's stories, that smuggler Ezra, and wonder if he'd have a CB handle, maybe Whiskey Ghost. You chuckle, muttering, "Bet that crow's got a handle. Too probably Feather Bandit." Grey Wolf signs off with a "keep the shiny side up," and the CB goes quiet, leaving you with the engine's hum and the road's gentle sway. The river's still there, glinting like it's eavesdropping, and you feel the weight of the Iroquois trails beneath you, their ancient paths guiding your tires. The note, the dock, the CB chatter, it's all weaving together, making this haul feel like more than just a job. You're a river runner now, carrying potatoes through a land that's seen centuries of travelers. The dawn's light softens, and you let the road's rhythm carry you, one slang-filled mile at a time. You're rolling through a quiet stretch of Quebec now, the St. Lawrence River a steady companion on your left, its surface catching the morning light like a mirror. The potato sacks in your trailer are still, their earthy weight grounding you as the road hums beneath your tires. The note in your pocket, "Keep north, find the old dock," feels like a solved puzzle after spotting that crumbling landing. But the CB chatter from Grey Wolf still echoes in your head, his river runner label making you smile. The air through your window is cool, smelling of damp grass and distant wood smoke. But as you approach a small border village, you notice a strange glow flickering in the distance, like fireflies dancing over the fields. This area, near Dundee, has been a crossroads for centuries, with villages springing up where river trade met land routes. In the 1800s, these hamlets were lit by gas lamps, their soft glow guiding travelers and truckers, ancestors through the night. Here's a quirky tidbit. Locals used to hang lanterns in their windows to signal safe passage for late-night haulers. A tradition some say lingers in unexplained lights seen along the river. Historians still argue whether these glows are just marsh gas or something tied to old Iroquois stories about spirit lights. As you drive, the flickering in the field feels like it's watching you, inviting you to wonder. You slow your rig, squinting at the glow. It's not headlights or a house, just a soft, pulsing shimmer hovering low over the ground. "All right, what's your deal?" you mutter, half laughing, half curious. It's probably nothing, just swamp gas like the historians say. But it reminds you of Doris's diner tales, or that flickering customs house window back on Route 11. You think of that crow, probably out there cawing, told you this road's weird. You chuckle, picturing it leading a parade of ghost lights, just to mess with you. The village comes into view, a cluster of sleepy houses with no lanterns in sight, but the glow persists, fading in and out like a slow heartbeat. The road curves gently, and you pass a sign for the village, its name half erased by time. You're tempted to pull over, maybe investigate, but your drop-off in Montreal is calling, and you're not sure you're ready for a ghost hunt. Still, the lights got you thinking about Ezra's smuggling runs, or those Iroquois stone markers, all part of this land's quiet magic. You laugh softly, imagining Grey Wolf on the CB, calling this a glimmer run instead of a river run. The engine's hum pulls you forward, and the glow fades behind you, blending into the dawn's soft haze. You're close to your destination now, the river still glinting, the note in your pocket a small weight tying you to this strange, soothing journey. The village's quiet houses slip by, and you wonder if anyone else sees those lights, or if they're just for you, a little gift from the road. For now, you let the tire's rhythm and the river's calm carry you, one glowing mile at a time. You're nearing the end of your haul, the St. Lawrence River now a faint glimmer in your rearview as you guide your rig toward Montreal's outskirts. The potato sacks in your trailer are quiet, their earthy weight a steady anchor through the long night. The dawn has fully broken, painting the sky a soft pink, and the road is wider here, lined with sleepy warehouses and the occasional gas station. The note in your pocket, "Keep north, find the old dock," feels like a friend now. Its mystery softened by the crumbling dock you found, and the strange glow that flickered in the village. The air through your window is warmer, carrying the scent of asphalt and distant city smoke. And your CB's silent, Grey Wolf's voice just a memory. In the early 20th century, Montreal was a hub for goods like your potatoes, with markets bustling along the river where trucks and trains unloaded harvests from places like upstate New York. These drop-offs were more than transactions. They were where farmers and truckers swapped stories, building the quiet camaraderie of the road. Here is a quirky tidbit. Some Montreal market vendors used to give truckers free potatoes as a thank you, which drivers would cook in their cabs, turning spuds into makeshift meals. Historians still argue whether this was genuine kindness or just a way to clear bruised stock. But as you near the drop-off, you feel that old connection, like you re part of a long line of haulers bringing the land as bounty to the city. You pull into the warehouse lot, the tires crunching on gravel as you ease the rig to a stop. The place is quiet, just a few workers in high-vis vests sipping coffee, their breath visible in the morning chill. You step out, stretching, and hand over your paperwork, the potato sacks ready to become someone else's fries or mash. The note's still in your pocket, and you pull it out, its smudged ink catching the light. "Keep north," you murmur, smiling at how this haul turned into a scavenger hunt. You think of Doris's diner, Ezra's ghost, the Iroquois trails, and that weird glow a thread in the road's gentle tapestry. As you climb back into the cab, the world feels softer, slower, like the morning's wrapping you in a quiet hug. The river's gone now, but its calm lingers, blending with the memory of frosty roads, CB slang, and that crow you're half convinced was your co-pilot. You laugh softly, picturing it perched on a warehouse roof, cawing one last time. The engine hums as you prepare to head back. The road's lessons settling in your bones, patience, wonder, the beauty of the ordinary. The sky's a gentle glow now, the city waking as you ease into the lot's edge, ready to rest. Your eyelids are heavy, the haul's weight lifting like mist off the river. The note, the dock, the lights there, just stories now, fading into the soft hum of the road. Let the world slip away, the engines drone a lullaby, carrying you toward sleep. The potatoes are delivered, the journey done, and the night's whispers are yours to keep, tucked into the quiet corners of your mind. The warehouse lot is still, the morning light stretching long shadows across the gravel. You lean back in your seat, the cab's warmth wrapping around you like a blanket. The river's gone, but its rhythm lingers, a slow pulse that matches your breathing. Those potato sacks, the note, the old dock, they feel like dreams now, soft and distant, blending into the haze of the road. You think of the Iroquois trails, Ezra's ghost, Doris's coffee, and that crow, always watching, always cawing. They're all part of this journey, small pieces of a world that moves slower than the city waking around you. The air is calm, the sky a gentle pink, and you feel the weight of the night lifting, leaving only peace. Close your eyes, let the engine's hum fade, and drift into the quiet, where the road stories cradle you like a lullaby. Sleep comes easy now, soft as the dawn, sweet dreams,